story about the man whose girlfriend was trying to help him find his true love? Well, there was this man, he was on his way to a holiday party, even though he hated socializing. But his friend invited him, so he said he would show up at least for a few minutes. But when he got there, the vibe was kind of nice. He was feeling, confident. He was a nice looking single man doing well for himself. He sees these two women standing by the bar and he says, you know what, let me go see. He walks up to them, introduces himself. Hi, I'm Donald. And they look him up and down, and one says, I'm Jesse. The other one says, I'm Maya. And he looks back at Jesse and says, hey, Jesse, how you doing? And Jesse said, I'm married. And Maya said, I'm not. And she grabs him, she pulls him out on the dance floor, and they start dancing, having a good time. By the end of the night, Maya says, guess what? You taking me home tonight. And he's like, yes, ma'am. He goes home with Maya. They have a great time. They eventually start dating. They're seeing each other every day. He's looking at her like, wow, you know what? I'm really liking her company. I think she could be the one. Months go by. A year later, next thing you know, he's proposing to Maya. He really is in love with her. They get married. She has his baby. They have their own little family together. And he's like, okay, I got my wife. This is something I always wanted. And before you know it, he gets a shocking phone call. His wife is having an affair. But the most crazy part about it is not that she's having an affair, but she's actually sleeping with her friend Jesse's husband. Now, he can't believe that his wife would cheat on him, and he is absolutely devastated. But not only did she cheat, she leaves off to go and be with Jesse's husband. He runs into Jesse one day randomly in the city, and he invites her to go for a drink at the bar, and that drink ended up lasting hours. They were talking about everything, having a great time. They decided to go ahead and meet up again. Before you know it, they were like best friends, doing everything together, bonded by that trauma that they just went through, but sincerely liking each other. He was talking to other women from time to time, but it was her who would make him feel delighted in the morning when he thought about meeting up with him at the end of a workday. And they were like a family unit, even though they weren't saying anything about it. Like, she would come to all his family functions. Everybody who knew him knew her, and he was really satisfied with how things were going. Well, one night after one of his family events, they were so tipsy going back to his house. They put the son to bed. They sat on the couch just laughing. And she looks at him and she says, I wonder what it would be like to sit on your lap. He's so surprised. She had never made a move on him before, and it was just all that he needed. He just said, hey, come here. He pulled her onto his lap, and he gave her the sweetest kiss. He said that kiss felt like the first bite of an apple. Oh, he ravished that woman because it was somebody he cared about, and all the anger, all the anxiousness, all the love, all the fondness, all the comfort she had given him all of those months while they was going through that trauma together just transformed into passion, and they made sweet love all night long. The next morning, they woke up looking at each other like, oh my gosh, they didn't even know how to act anymore. And it showed. They still got together to hang out from time to time, but it just became so awkward, and he was upset about that because, yeah, he liked her, he loved her, he knew it, but he didn't want to lose this woman who had become his best friend. Eventually, he called her, and she didn't answer, and he thought that was weird. He called a couple more times, and she didn't answer. He was like, hold up. He drove over to her house, and he saw a for rent sign. She had up and moved away without telling him. He was so devastated. There he was in the city all alone. He had lost his wife. Then he had lost his best friend. Well, it took him some time. 1 year turned into 2 years turned into 3. He talked to a couple women, but nothing was popping. Then he meets this one woman, and he thinks that she's really pretty. He's like, well, let me see if I can give it a chance. Well, he's sitting up there with her. She's kind of fun. She's a little weird. And one day he just looks at her and he says, I miss Jesse. And she's like, who is Jesse? He tells her this whole story about this woman who was his best friend that he couldn't help but love. And the woman looks at him and says, okay, I understand that. Well, they continued to date, and she became his girlfriend. But she noticed that every time her name came up, his eyes would glaze over. She recognized that he didn't feel the same way about her that he felt about Jesse. So after a year went by of this still going on, she said, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. She goes and finds Jesse's phone number, calls Jesse up, and she's like, hello, is this Jesse? And Jesse's like, yeah. She's like, well, you don't know me, but do you know Donald? And Jesse's like, yes, I do. What's going on? Is he okay? And she's like, yeah, he's okay. I'm just calling to tell you that I'm his girlfriend, kind of, but actually, it's kind of hard because I know he's still in love with you. And Jesse's like, oh man, I wonder what happened to him. Our partners ran away together. And the girlfriend said, yes, I know. But honestly, from the way he talks about you, I don't think anybody is ever going to compare. And she said, well, things were going that way between us. I saw us getting closer, and I didn't want to be like them. I don't want to swap. And the girlfriend said, but why? He loved you, and you loved him. And Jesse said, I didn't want to be like them. Well, the girlfriend didn't want to pressure her to do anything. So she hung up the phone and she sent her a text. If you ever want to talk to him, here's his number. I know he'll be so excited to hear from you. Well, this all happened a few years ago. And the last I checked, Jesse, Donald, and the girlfriend, they all still single.